Day 1, 12:01 a.m. The Oath. I stood there, hand raised, the cold January air biting my face, and I absolutely knew, that I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. Or the greatest decision. The difference? 100 days. The Chief Justice's words echoed in my ears, but all I could hear was the thundering of my own heartbeat. Behind me, the Capitol gleamed under 1,000 lights. Before me, 200 million eyes watched through screens, waiting, judging, hoping. What the hell had I done? You see, they don't tell you this part. They don't tell you that the moment you become President of the United States, you inherit every secret, every lie, every nightmare that your predecessors buried in classified folders marked eyes only. And in my first briefing, the one that happened exactly 47 minutes after I took the oath, I learned something that made my blood run cold. America was 6 weeks away from a total electrical grid collapse. Day 3, the war room. Mr. President, with all due respect, you can't just redesign the national power grid. The Energy Secretary's face had gone pale. I'd been president for 72 hours, and I'd already fired 3 cabinet members. I leaned forward, hands flat on the Situation Room table. The wood was cold, polished to a mirror shine. Secretary Morrison, do you know what happens when the grid goes down in a modern society? Hospitals lose power. Water treatment facilities shut down. Within 72 hours, we have food riots. Within a week, total societal breakdown. I paused, letting that sink in. Now, do you know what I did when Tesla was 3 weeks from bankruptcy in 2008? I slept on the factory floor. I fired and rehired until we made the impossible happen. I stood up. So when I say we're going to redesign the power grid, I mean we're going to have it done in 39 days. The room erupted. Everyone talking at once, explaining why it couldn't be done. Enough! Dead silence. Here's what you don't understand about me yet. I didn't run for president to manage America's decline. I ran because I'm tired of watching brilliant people accept mediocrity as inevitable. I pulled out my phone and held it up. This device has more computing power than the entire Apollo program. We put humans on the moon with slide rules and courage. And you're telling me we can't fix a power grid? The Defense Secretary, General Patricia Morrison, cleared her throat. What's your plan, Mr. President? I smiled. Finally, someone asking the right question. Day 7, Executive Order Number 1. My Chief of Staff, Rachel Kim, walked in with a stack of papers. The executive order is ready for your signature. Executive Order 13,001, Emergency Power Grid Modernization and Decentralization Act. If I sign this, we're essentially nationalizing parts of the power industry. Temporarily, Rachel corrected, 90 days. She sat down across from me. Sometimes, Elon, you have to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I signed it. With that signature, I just authorized the deployment of 10,000 Tesla Powerwall systems to critical infrastructure, funded 300 microgrids, and told every power company they had 30 days to cooperate or be replaced. The stock market was going to hate this. Day 14, the call. It came at 3:47 a.m. Mr. President, we have a situation. The Director of National Intelligence sounded like he'd aged 10 years. China's made a move on Taiwan, naval blockade. How long do we have? Before the blockade becomes an invasion? Best estimate, 72 hours. I thought about the power grid, about the 100 other crises I'd been juggling, about the fact that I'd been president for exactly 2 weeks, and now I was facing World War III. Day 15, the red phone. President Xi Jinping's face filled the secure video screen. We'd met before, back when I was building factories in Shanghai. President Musk, the translation came through. America has grown comfortable, soft, but you're different. You understand building things. Is that a compliment or a threat? It's an observation. You've been president for 2 weeks. Most presidents would blink, would find a compromise that lets me take Taiwan while saving face. My heart was pounding. You're right about one thing. I do understand building. I've built companies from nothing. I've sent rockets to space and brought them back. I paused. But I've never backed down from a challenge. And I've never let someone take what isn't theirs just because they thought I was too busy to notice. The silence stretched between us. President Xi, here's what's going to happen. You're going to end that blockade within 12 hours. And in return, I'm going to offer you something unprecedented. I'm going to share our power grid technology, the decentralized system we're building right now. I could see him calculating. Why would you offer this? Because I'm not interested in a war that destroys both our countries. I'm interested in a future where competition drives innovation. You want to prove China's superiority? Build a better grid than ours. Compete with us. And if I refuse? I smiled. Not a friendly smile. Then you'll find out exactly how much damage a president with nothing to lose can do. I'll tariff every Chinese product at 200%. I'll freeze every Chinese asset in American banks. Within 6 months, your economy will be in free fall. I leaned closer. But more importantly, you'll have missed the chance to work with someone who actually wants to see China succeed, just not at Taiwan's expense. Day 21, the announcement. The blockade ended at dawn. I stood in the press briefing room, looking out at exhausted reporters. 3 weeks ago, I took an oath to protect the Constitution. Tonight, I want to tell you about how I almost failed that oath before the first month was over. Dead silence. The crisis with China could have become World War III. Instead, it's become a partnership based on mutual benefit. I pulled out a document. But I'm not here to celebrate. I'm here to tell you something that's been classified until 30 seconds ago. I held up the paper. America's power grid is failing. Not slowly, actually failing. We have a systemic problem that could leave half the country without power for months. The room erupted. I've signed an executive order that rewrites how America generates electricity. It's radical, it's expensive, and it's absolutely necessary. I looked directly into the camera. I know you didn't elect me to manage America. You elected me to transform it. That means moving fast, breaking things, and occasionally making decisions that terrify everyone, including me. I leaned forward. So I need to ask you something. Do you want a president who plays it safe and lets America decline? Or do you want a president who swings for the fences, who risks everything on the chance that we can build something better? Because I can't do both. I can only be who I am, someone who looks at impossible problems and sees opportunities. Day 35, the factory floor. The Secret Service had nearly had a heart attack when I'd insisted on visiting the construction site in Ohio. The factory floor hummed with activity. 3 shifts, 24 hours a day, assembling microgrid components. Mr. President, a young woman stepped forward. Oil-stained hands, grease-smudged face. This is the first time in my life I felt like my work actually matters. Something in my chest tightened. What's your name? Sarah Chen. I pulled her aside, away from the cameras. 3 months ago, you were probably working some job that felt meaningless. Now you're literally building the future. The component you're assembling? In 6 weeks, it's going to power a hospital in Michigan. Some kid is going to have a surgery, and the lights will stay on because of what you did today. I smiled. They'll never know your name, but you'll know, and I'll know, and that's what matters. Her eyes were wet. Mine might have been too. Day 50, the Senate hearing. Mr. President, you can't just ignore Congress. Senator Mitchell's face was red as he jabbed his finger at me. Senator, I'm not ignoring Congress. I presented you with legislation. You tabled it for 6 months because it needed more study. Senator, we don't have time for more study. We have a power grid that's literally failing right now. You have a messiah complex, Senator Williams interrupted. You think you're going to save America single-handedly? The chamber went quiet. You're right, she blinked, surprised. I do have a problem with thinking I can fix everything. It's why I've nearly destroyed half a dozen companies. It's why I've had 3 marriages fail. I stood up. But that complex also put American astronauts back in space. It made electric cars desirable. It proved that impossible was just another word for nobody's tried hard enough yet. I walked to the center of the floor. So yes, I have a messiah complex. And America elected me because of it. Because voters are tired of politicians who tell them what can't be done. I turned back to her. You want to impeach me? Go ahead. But ask yourself, when was the last time someone in this chamber made you believe that tomorrow could actually be better than today? Day 67, the failure. The alert came at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Microgrid Station 47, outside Denver. Catastrophic failure. Explosion. Fire. 3 workers dead. 17 injured. Rachel burst through the door, her face ashen. Tell me. She handed me the tablet. Twisted metal. Smoke. Emergency vehicles. And in the corner, a stretcher with a body bag. My body bag. My failure. Design flaw. The cooling system. My cooling system. My design. My rush to deploy. You want to know what leadership really means? It means looking at pictures of people who died because you pushed too hard. Don't tell me it's not my fault. Don't give me comforting lies that leaders sleep at night after they've gotten people killed. I walked to the window. 3 people went to work this morning thinking they were building the future. Now they're dead because I was too arrogant to listen when engineers said we needed more testing. What are you going to do? I'm going to every one of their families, personally, face to face, and I'm going to tell them the truth, that their loved ones died because their president failed them. Day 75, the vigil. Mary Robertson, James Chen, Terrence Dawkins. I learned their names, their families' names, their children's names. I sat in their living rooms and I listened, and I carried their grief like stones. Mary's daughter, 8 years old, asked me if her mommy was a hero. Yes, I'd said, my voice breaking. The biggest hero I've ever known. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Day 80, the pivot. I'm announcing a complete review of the Power Grid Modernization Initiative. Rachel had argued against it. Admitting failure would destroy my political capital. I didn't care. 3 Americans died because I moved too fast, because I prioritized speed over safety. I looked into the camera. I was wrong, and I need to say that clearly. I was wrong. Silence. We're not stopping. America still needs a modernized grid, but we're slowing down. We're implementing every safety protocol I initially dismissed as bureaucratic red tape. A reporter raised her hand. Critics say this proves you're not fit for office. They're not entirely wrong. I am impulsive. I do take risks. But I also learn. I adapt. And I never make the same mistake twice. My voice cracked. Mary Robertson's daughter asked me if her mother was a hero. The truth is, Mary was a hero who never should have had to be. She should be alive. So to everyone watching, I'm going to do better. Not because it's politically smart, but because I can't look at myself in the mirror if I don't. Day 95, the breakthrough. Mr. President, you need to see this. Director Sarah Park from Energy burst in. We've done it. The redesign works. Every safety test passed. 0 failures across 300 simulations. I looked up, afraid to believe. You're sure? Absolutely certain. The cooling system flaw is fixed. We can resume deployment. How long? 48 hours. Day 100, the reckoning. Early morning light filtered through the Oval Office windows. 100 days. I'd averted a war with China. I'd launched the most ambitious infrastructure project in American history. I'd gotten 3 people killed. I'd been threatened with impeachment. I'd cried in front of the nation. And somehow, impossibly, America's power grid was getting fixed. Rachel walked in with the morning briefing. Latest polling numbers, approval rating, 47%, split perfectly down the middle. You know what the funny thing is? I have no idea which half is right. Maybe both, Rachel suggested. Maybe you're a disastrous genius. I laughed. So what's next, Mr. President? I looked out at the Washington Monument. Next? Next we tackle healthcare, then education. Elon, you're not actually going to slow down, are you? Rachel, I've got 1,361 days left. Do you have any idea how much we could accomplish? She sighed. You're going to give me a heart attack. Get in line. But I was already thinking about the next challenge, the next impossible thing to make real. Because that's who I am. That's who they elected, for better or worse. Would you have survived my first 100 days? Would you have made different choices? The next 1,361 days are coming, and I have no idea if America is ready. But we're going to find out together.